The Summations of the Way of Righteousness. A reading of a brief summation on the nature of an abiding mind. Pausing here to gather our thoughts, we can try to make sense of the abundance of evidence presented thus far in this examination. The book of the Way of Righteousness, a revealing history and reconciliation of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, now numbers about 650 pages without an index, and it weighs several pounds. For those who might want to read something less weighty about how the way happened to be written, a collection of the prologue, the epilogue with photo essay, and the summations, including this concluding reading, has been published in the Mind series as Mind Before and After the Way of Righteousness. It is available in color and for free as an eBook, and as a black and white paperback is now available online. What questions remain to be asked? What words are best said in summation? What will be the verdict? Are we prepared to postulate a theory, one to be assumed, yet vigorously and rigorously examined? Is mind something valid we can trust in and build upon as an intellectual tool to aid us in our eternal search for truth? What is the reality of our own minds and our collective community of human minds? Beyond that, what are the probabilities of a greater, eternally observing, universal consciousness and abiding mind? Mind exists independent of our physical reality, and it is invisible to the means by which we measure mass and light. Mind observes the fragile waveform of matter and light we are a physical part of, but mind is forever beyond our technical ability to detect and measure. Mind is, however, a demonstrable factor of physical reality, for without mind, there is no reality of existence. Without minds, we would not appreciate the garden within which we live. And these written words would not exist. We would not exist. And there would be none of you to read these words. And to please listen carefully within your minds to these last few concluding thoughts. These are the best words I can conceive to speak, echoing within your own mind where you seek the truth. There is an abiding mind which has existed for all of eternity. Ever since mind was first born of intelligence as a natural process of life, everything that has ever lived evolved from mass itself having been physically transmuted from energy in a natural quantum blip, manifested as this brilliant universe of light we call home. An abiding mind equates with eternity, existing in the negative nothingness that encompasses every positive particle we can perceive and that has ever existed. It is only with the magnification and illumination provided by the imaginations and creations of our unified mind that we can escape the limits of this small spherical mass of earth and water whose garden we live in and whose air we breathe. Focused together, our minds can see what lies beyond the rainbow spectrum of our universe of light. We can see its beginning, and we can witness its end. We can experience every moment in between, and we can always find our way home. Becoming aware, we transcend the physical bounds of our spatial reality. And it is then when we can experience the peaceful, loving, and motherly presence of an abiding mind. We can learn to listen to the inner voice of her spirit of wisdom as she herself patiently listens to every single one of us, all of the time as we talk to ourselves within our minds. We must become fluent in her one-word language of truth. Forgo the art of the lie, and to trust in the wisdom of the words, heard always as a voice of reason, our conscience, and our conscious being, if we are to ever access the limitless archives of an abiding mind. At the instant mind reaches out from within an infant's brain, in its singular quantum moment of mind, it is received within and swaddled by an abiding mind. Much like the orbiting negative electrons surround and shield the positive nuclei of our atoms, or as the protective arms of a mother instinctively wrap around her children, defending them at all costs against danger. The child's mind is quantumly enveloped by an abiding mind, never to be separated and shared forever with the mind of its mother. Mind is born in an instant as the emerging child listens for the reassuring voice it has been hearing in the darkness of the womb, as it instinctively seeks to suckle at its mother's breast. Knowing only its mother's voice and how to cry, it is soothed by her voice and sheltered by her arms. Nourished and comforted, the mind of the infant reaches out for the light it sees for the first time, and it instinctively seeks to touch and examine it. It is then that the spirit of wisdom, the soothing voice of an abiding mind, becomes at one with emerging embryonic minds in an instinctive search for truth of the question every child asks itself and others. A child's mind program for truth begins to learn other languages, some of which are infected with the malware of the art of the lie. When our life brain dies from lack of blood and oxygen, its mind, with all its memories, creations, truths, and basic lessons learned, exist on as eternal truths. As every singular mind remains integrated in a quantum sense with an abiding mind from birth forward from its moment in life and time. More than that, the lingering spiritual presence of the essence of our physical being and our minds, our very souls, live on in the minds and memories of those who survive us in life. We continue to exist so long as that we have created and contributed in life is valued and is worth remembering. The evolution of the instinctual intelligence of our twin brains at birth into our twin minds, one talking and the other listening, as they and we respond to the common problems of our life. Since we share the consequences of our actions, we necessarily share the essential need to consider effective alternatives in making wise decisions. This internal conversation takes place within the minds of all of us, consciously and subconsciously, all of the time, from birth to death. There is myself and there is my conscience, the two of us who are destined to spend every moment of our lives together. We exist within the comfort, joy, and love we share with others, and we must live with the consequences of what we say and do along the way of life. Although history books do not always reveal the truth, documentary and electronic books are our collective attempt to accurately preserve the memories and times of our lives as a physical record of the reality of our existence. There are nuggets of truth to be mined from these written archives of the past and from the electronic news of the present. Once we separate the outright lies, the truth is always the truth, and it is easy to remember. Lies remain lies forever, whether concealed, denied, or ignored. One word, truth, seeks peace and justice. The other word, lie, results in hatred, violence, and war. Lies and deception are not included in the language of truth, nor are they noted in the journals of eternal truth. War is a truly evil word, describing the cowardly use of threats and other people and remote weapons to kill other people, including children, babies, while those who direct the killing are bravely shielded from injury. War is a word best forgotten. Perhaps in the future history of our collective time of mind, war, in which people were once forced to kill for the benefit of their own selfish representatives, and to die for the stupid mistakes of their own corrupt leaders, remain only as a footnote, a vestige of the latent human brainstem diseases of deception, hatred, and violence. History may record that one day the people reserved their consent to be governed as a censure of their existing government, and they took matters into their own hands. They voted in 2020 for a constitutional voters' Bill of Rights, and they changed the course of human history. The fruit of mind is self-awareness, a reconciliation between the two facets of our minds, resolving to tell the truth to ourselves and how to deal with everyday life, family, jobs, emotions, and we become self-aware in making better decisions as we perceive the reality of our physical existence, and we achieve the breadth of mind to use our knowledge honestly in seeking answers to questions beyond our present ability to ask. What is yet to be seen is far more glorious than that which cannot yet be imagined. The moment of magic sparks, and our minds come to accept the rigors of truth, first within ourselves, and then as a much more effective language with which to communicate with others, in comprehending our place and destiny in space, time, and eternity. The most important message for us to communicate to one another is the reality of mass extinction. Every creature on earth, including we humans who created the problems, face grave and deadly environmental and economic dangers right now. These threats are immediate and life-threatening. Yet they are denied by those who purport to govern in the name of the people. Our representatives, who are helpless to effectively govern with truth, dignity, or honor, burdened as they are by conceit, corruption, and deception, and made weary every day by their deadly misuse of the cyber, military, and police powers entrusted to them by the people. The universal rights of liberty allow the people to reserve their consent as a censure whenever their government abuses its discretion and it endangers us, who it was created to serve. It is not us. This is the question each of us must ask ourselves, here and now. Do we wish to survive and live, or to perish and die? That's the deal. There are no third options. And it is now we must decide. We are all in this together. Either we all live, or else we all die. There will be no brave remnant to start all over again, irrespective of hidden gold and guns, for there will be no garden left to plunder, nor ammunition to buy. Books will serve as fuel until language and knowledge are lost, and nothing but the futile grunts of the last human is heard among the final few trees. We either abandon war forthwith and redirect all of that mighty expression of intelligence, energy, technology, and vital human and precious material resources, presently being entirely and criminally wasted on weapons of war, in a positive and peaceful way, redirected to solve the deadly environmental and economic dangers now threatening all of humanity. There are things that can and must be done. Steps can be taken, and productive jobs can be done starting today. We must significantly retard atmospheric warming within the next 5 years, or else we cannot expect to foresee tomorrows much past mid-centuries. If these matters are not resolved by the 2020 presidential election in the United States, 4 more years of nothing will be far too little, far too late. One measure of our success in life, individually and collectively, is the ability to imagine how tomorrow should be and to take effective action today to make tomorrow happen as planned. An inability to shape the future is a failure, in that it requires one to constantly respond rather than to initiate. It is here and now that we will unite to learn, work, prosper, and create together to solve the immediate problems that are threatening the survival of humanity. Or we foolishly deny the truth and continue fighting stupid wars. In doing so, we will surely consign our own grandchildren to burn in a fiery hell of our own making, whether by the stupidity of perpetual wars or by our failure to clean up the environmental, economic, and governmental messes we have created. The reality of a blisteringly hot earth with billions dying of thirst and starvation in just the next half century is much more likely than a news flash that an asteroid, the size of which hasn't been seen in 6 million years, will inevitably collide with Earth in 50 years. Given such a reality, what choice would we have but to tend to our garden, raise our children in peace and justice, and give them their chance to soar among the stars? Time is precious, and the clock is ticking. The difference of just a couple of degrees of temperature provide the delicate balance in the atmosphere and oceans of our fragile Mother Earth between extreme heat and extreme cold. The Arctic ice has moderated the temperature through regular cycles over millions of years, but the Arctic ice is now melting rather than expanding. At this point in the life cycle, things should be getting slowly colder over thousands of years, leading into a new ice age. Any reversal of that trend is catastrophic. These slight few degrees of heat, one way or another, will determine whether our grandchildren have a chance to evolve, and perhaps for their grandchildren, to tour the lights of our universe as a graduation celebration someday, or they will all die and we will become extinct. Even if our fossilized bones are the only thing left of us, amidst the forgotten ruins of our creations and the wreckage we have wrought, the memories and product of everyone who lived and worked here and now, the individual moments of each singular mind will continue to flow in the existing tides, the eternal tides of an abiding mind. If we fail to make a wise peace, and if we continue to fight stupid wars, only the most embryonic forms of life will survive the fires that will be fueled by our failures. It could take hundreds of millions of years for the soils, waters, and atmosphere of our Mother Earth to once again have the balance of health and energy to sustain life, to grow intelligence, and to sprout minds that instinctively reach for the stars, just as babies seek their mother's breast. By nature, we are social, and we seek like-minded people to share joy, love, respect, and protection within our families and societies as we each go about earning our own living and living our own singular way of life in concert with all who surround us. It is this wisdom of our collective human community of minds that is the intellectual reservoir of our strength as a people. And it is the source of our rights of liberty and their power of expression. We who live and think have the duty, will, and self-confidence to decide for ourselves what the future of our grandchildren should and will be like. And we want to live long enough to see it for ourselves.